When 103-year-old Maria from Sardinia sat down for her daily breakfast of sourdough bread drizzled with olive oil and a handful of walnuts, she had no idea that this simple morning ritual was the exact same meal that had kept her great-grandmother alive to 107, her grandmother to 104, and her mother to 101. But what she also didn't know was that this wasn't just coincidence. It was the result of a nutritional secret that has been hidden in plain sight for over 1,000 years, a secret so powerful that it can literally reprogram your cells to resist aging, prevent disease, and extend your lifespan by decades. Yet somehow, this life-changing information has been completely ignored by modern medicine and buried beneath mountains of conflicting dietary advice that's designed to keep you confused, sick, and dependent on expensive treatments that only mask symptoms instead of addressing the root cause of aging itself. You see, while American seniors are starting their days with processed cereals loaded with sugar, artificial vitamins, and inflammatory oils that accelerate cellular damage, there are 5 small regions scattered across the globe where people routinely live to 100, 105, even 110 years old, and when researchers finally investigated what these extraordinary humans were eating for breakfast every single morning, they discovered something so simple yet so profound that it challenges everything we've been taught about nutrition, aging, and what it really takes to live a long, vibrant life free from the chronic diseases that plague the Western world. But here's what makes this discovery even more remarkable. It wasn't just one type of breakfast that these centenarians were eating. It was actually 5 distinct morning meals that seemed completely different on the surface, yet shared 3 hidden ingredients that work together like a symphony inside your body, triggering ancient genetic pathways that can literally slow down your biological clock and reverse markers of aging that your doctor probably told you were irreversible. Now, before I reveal these 3 miraculous ingredients and show you exactly how to prepare each of these longevity-promoting breakfasts in your own kitchen, I need to warn you about something that's going to shock you to your core. The breakfast you're probably eating right now isn't just failing to nourish your body. It's actually poisoning you at the cellular level, creating inflammation that spreads like wildfire through your organs, damaging your DNA and accelerating the aging process so dramatically that you're essentially aging 2 years for every calendar year that passes. And the most terrifying part is that this damage is happening silently, invisibly, until one day you wake up feeling decades older than you should and wondering where your energy, your mental clarity, and your zest for life disappeared to. Picture this. Your cells are like tiny factories working around the clock to repair damage, produce energy, and keep you feeling young and vital. But every morning when you pour that bowl of processed cereal or spread margarine on your toast, you're essentially throwing sand into the gears of these cellular factories, gumming up the machinery with trans fats, overwhelming the workers with sugar spikes and starving them of the essential nutrients they need to function properly. Which is why by 10 a.m. you're already feeling tired, foggy, and craving more sugar to get through the day. Meanwhile, in a small village in Ikaria, Greece, 98-year-old Dmitri is starting his morning with a breakfast so nutritionally perfect that his cells are literally humming with vitality. His brain is sharp as a razor, and his energy levels would put most 50-year-olds to shame, all because he's unknowingly consuming a combination of compounds that most Americans have never even heard of. Compounds that can actually turn on your longevity genes and turn off the genetic switches that cause aging and disease. Now, you might be thinking this sounds too good to be true, and I understand your skepticism because we've been conditioned to believe that aging and disease are inevitable, that genetics determine our fate, and that the best we can do is take medications to manage our declining health. But what if I told you that identical twins raised in different environments can have completely different lifespans and health outcomes based solely on their daily habits, particularly what they eat for breakfast? This isn't speculation or wishful thinking. This is hard science backed by decades of research into epigenetics, the study of how our environment and lifestyle choices can literally rewrite our genetic destiny, and nowhere is this more evident than in the blue zones, those 5 remarkable regions where people consistently live longer, healthier lives than anywhere else on Earth. Let me take you on a journey to Okinawa, Japan, where the morning air carries the scent of sea salt and blooming hibiscus. and where 102-year-old Ushi begins each day with a bowl of miso soup filled with seaweed, tofu, and vegetables that most Americans would consider strange and unappetizing. Yet this humble breakfast contains more life-extending nutrients than most people consume in an entire week. The miso, fermented for years in wooden barrels, is teeming with beneficial bacteria that optimize gut health and boost immune function, while the seaweed provides rare minerals like iodine and selenium that support thyroid function and protect against cellular damage, and the tofu delivers complete proteins and isoflavones that help balance hormones and protect against cancer. But here's the part that will blow your mind. This isn't just a meal, it's actually a sophisticated delivery system for compounds that can extend telomeres, those protective caps on your chromosomes that determine how fast you age. And when researchers measured telomere length in Okinawan centenarians, they found that these people had the cellular age of someone 20 to 30 years younger than their chronological age. But the Okinawan breakfast is just one piece of the puzzle, because when we travel to the mountains of Sardinia, Italy, where the air is crisp and clean and the landscape is dotted with ancient olive trees that have been producing liquid gold for centuries, we find 101-year-old Giovanni starting his day with thick slices of sourdough bread that's been naturally fermented for days, creating beneficial compounds that feed good bacteria in his gut while neutralizing anti-nutrients that could damage his intestinal lining, and he tops this bread with olive oil so rich in polyphenols that it literally glows green in the morning sunlight, providing antioxidants that protect his cardiovascular system and brain from the kind of inflammation that sends most Americans to early graves. But here's what makes this even more fascinating. Giovanni doesn't just drizzle any olive oil on his bread. He uses oil from olives that grow in mineral-rich soil at high altitude, where the stress of the harsh environment forces the trees to produce extraordinary concentrations of protective compounds that get passed on to anyone lucky enough to consume this liquid longevity elixir. Now, as we venture to the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, where howler monkeys wake the village each morning and the humidity hangs thick and warm like a comforting blanket, we discover 99-year-old Carmen preparing gallo pinto, a traditional breakfast of black beans and rice that might look simple, but contains a nutritional combination so powerful that it can literally reprogram your metabolism for optimal health and longevity. Because when you combine beans and rice, you create a complete protein that provides all essential amino acids while delivering soluble fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria, resistant starch that improves insulin sensitivity, and antioxidants that protect against cellular damage. But the real magic happens when Carmen adds a handful of fresh cilantro and a squeeze of lime, introducing compounds that help detoxify heavy metals from her system and enhance the absorption of nutrients from every other food she eats throughout the day. The pattern becomes even clearer when we journey to Loma Linda, California, home to a community of Seventh-day Adventists who have turned plant-based eating into an art form, where 104-year-old Ruth starts each morning with steel-cut oats topped with walnuts, blueberries, and a drizzle of almond butter, creating a breakfast that's essentially a pharmaceutical-grade delivery system for omega-3 fatty acids that protect brain function, anthocyanins that prevent cellular damage, and complex carbohydrates that provide steady energy without the blood sugar spikes that accelerate aging. And when researchers studied Ruth's community, they found that people eating this type of breakfast lived an average of 7 to 10 years longer than their neighbors who consumed the standard American diet, with dramatically lower rates of heart disease, diabetes, and dementia. Finally, our journey takes us to the Greek island of Ikaria, where time seems to move differently and stress appears to be a foreign concept, where 97-year-old Eleni breaks her fast with Greek yogurt so thick you could stand a spoon in it, topped with wild honey that contains over 200 different compounds with anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties, and finished with a handful of almonds that provide healthy fats and vitamin E to protect her skin and organs from oxidative damage. But what makes this breakfast truly extraordinary is that Eleni's yogurt contains probiotic strains that have been passed down through generations of traditional fermentation, creating a diverse microbiome that supports everything from mood regulation to immune function to the production of vitamins that most people can only get from expensive supplements. But here's where this story takes a disturbing turn. While these 5 breakfast patterns have been keeping people healthy and vibrant for centuries, the modern food industry has systematically destroyed the nutritional integrity of our morning meals, replacing fermented foods with processed substitutes, ancient grains with refined flour, beneficial bacteria with artificial preservatives, and natural nutrients with synthetic vitamins that your body can barely recognize or utilize, which is why, despite spending more money on healthcare than any other nation in history, Americans have shorter lifespans and higher rates of chronic disease than people in these blue zones, who spend almost nothing on medical care because they rarely need it. The 3 hidden ingredients that connect all 5 blue zone breakfasts are fermentation, which creates beneficial compounds and makes nutrients more bioavailable while supporting gut health. Healthy fats from sources like olive oil, nuts, and seeds, which provide essential fatty acids for brain function and hormone production while helping you absorb fat-soluble vitamins, and antioxidant-rich foods like berries, herbs, and vegetables, which protect your cells from damage and activate longevity pathways at the genetic level. And when you combine these 3 elements in your morning meal, you're essentially giving your body everything it needs to function optimally for the next 16 hours while setting the stage for cellular repair and regeneration that happens while you sleep. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds complicated and expensive, but the truth is that creating a blue zone breakfast is actually simpler and more affordable than the processed foods most people rely on because you're using whole, natural ingredients that have been nourishing humans for thousands of years. And when you invest in real food instead of fake food, you're actually saving money in the long run by preventing the expensive chronic diseases that plague people who eat the standard American diet. The real question isn't whether you can afford to eat like a centenarian, it's whether you can afford not to, because every morning you waste eating inflammatory, nutrient-depleted foods is another day of accelerated aging, cellular damage, and increased risk of the diseases that are stealing years from your life and vitality from your days. So here's your blueprint for transformation, starting tomorrow morning. Choose one of the 5 blue zone breakfast patterns and commit to eating it for the next 30 days, while paying attention to how your energy, mood, and overall well-being improve with each passing week, because when you give your body the nutrients it's been craving, the changes happen faster than you might expect, from better sleep and clearer thinking to improved digestion and increased stamina that will make you feel like you've turned back the clock by a decade or more. Second, eliminate the inflammatory breakfast foods that are sabotaging your health. The processed cereals, the margarine, the refined sugars, and the artificial additives that are poisoning your cells and accelerating your aging, and replace them with the fermented foods, healthy fats, and antioxidant-rich ingredients that have been keeping Blue Zone residents healthy for generations. Third, find a source for high-quality, traditional ingredients like real sourdough bread, raw honey, grass-fed yogurt, and cold-pressed olive oil, because the quality of your ingredients will determine the effectiveness of your longevity breakfast, and investing in the best foods you can afford is the most important investment you'll ever make in your future health and happiness. Remember, every sunrise gives you another opportunity to choose foods that will either accelerate your aging or extend your healthy lifespan, and the choices you make in the next few minutes after hearing this message could determine whether you live to see 75, 85, 95, or even 105 years of vibrant, disease-free life. So don't wait another day to start eating like the world's longest-lived people, because your body is waiting for you to give it the nutrition it deserves, and your future self will thank you for having the wisdom and courage to transform your morning meal into a daily dose of longevity medicine.